We have a queen that is willing to kill their own brother and father, and even push their most loved one to their death, and because of all these actions, eventually it led her to her own death, which resulted in her having a complete redo of her life. And this rare opportunity that she was given, she wants to be better. She wants to live a better life, because everything in her previous life that led her down her path, a thorny rose garden, it resulted in a dead end that was nothing but misery. So today, I want to talk about a series that I recently discovered called The Tyrant Wants to Be Good. And I think the title alone is very self-explanatory. It basically explains what you're going to get from the series and what it's actually going to be about. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I love stories that's about characters doing horrific things, and then they get another chance, an opportunity, so to speak, at life to be better. It's one of the things that I really like about Mushoku Tensei. Anyone that really gets into Mushoku Tensei and understands the characters, the themes, and all that can see one of the journeys that Rudy goes through within Mushoku Tensei is someone that was an absolute despicable, vile piece of filth in his previous life, but he becomes better and tries to be better in his second chance at life. And so in this case, we have this series doing something very similar. You have the main female character, Dorothy, that is the princess of the empire, that, is constantly lived a very troubled life. Her own father shuns her, never really speaks to her, and only time he ever speaks with her, he basically locks her up in her room. Her brother, that is just basically born with a silver spoon in his mouth, he is destined to be the crown prince, and despite him obviously being inferior in every single way in terms of academics, and being able to present himself in the courts with politicians and stuff, he got everything handed to him, which resulted in her envy and greed to executing him and overturning his rule and becoming the ruler herself. But it doesn't stop there. She also has someone that she deeply loves, someone that she desperately wants to be with, but because of her own greed and envy as well, it resulted in pushing the very person she loved the most in the world, that was her husband, to his death as well. So there's a lot of things that she's done within her life that, she regrets. And so she is given this rare opportunity to basically redo all of this. And this story honestly does a very unique take on it. And what I mean by that is that the character isn't just a goody-goody two-shoes. Like, our main female character, which is having a second shot at life, she still has these, urges to do bad things. Like, obviously she was a tyrant, she was a dictator, someone that ruled the kingdom with an iron fist. She has these evil thoughts sometimes, and she is not good, so to speak. However, she is trying to be. She's trying to be better, and she keeps having these things, her feelings from her previous life, bubble to the surface, where she is very either mean to her brother, or she is also just the way she reacts to the world around her. She realizes just how different it is if she isn't interacting with it. And there is a lot of self-hatred as well within her character, and these beginning chapters are honestly incredible. Anyone that likes, a character-driven story about someone that legitimately hates themselves, but also trying to have self-discovery and better themselves, you're gonna love The Tyrant Wants to Be Good. Now, let's get into some of the fundamental plot aspects, besides obviously her wanting to be a better person. Now, yes, this is a character-driven story about her trying to be better and all that, but there is other details about her that need to be talked about, and that is the fact that in this second chance at life, she's trying to allow the events to flow like they should. For instance, she's allowing her brother to be the crown prince, regardless of her envy and jealousy of him and thinking that he wouldn't be a good ruler. She allows him to do whatever he wants. But on top of that, she is willing to be shunned and basically looked down upon and look pathetic in front of everyone just to be a better person, so to speak. There's a moment that happens around chapter 5 where she, basically is at a ceremony for her brother, the crown prince, and this wine glass spills on her, which results in her having to bow to someone in the courtroom. And it causes everybody to look at her like she's very pathetic, and it's like, wow, really, you're like this? And it's like, why is the princess having to bow to a random politician? It showcased her status and how she really didn't have anything. And if it was her in her previous life, she would have probably executed people, she would have been mad, whatever, but she didn't do that. She walked away, and that was how it was. However, she felt a lot of disgust and was upset by her public image, because obviously her original self is still there. She's just trying to be better, like I said. But, the thing about the whole story is that apparently one of the things that led her to being not accepted and causing a wedge between her, her father, and her brother and everyone else was that she didn't have this gift of, like, magic and stuff. There is moments within the early sections of this story that implies that magic is in this world. Like, you know, the main family, the main actual royal blood people, can use some form of magic. It's not specified exactly fully what it does, but you can kind of assume that most likely the magic has something to do with her being brought back to life. For instance, a second shot at life, which that gets into the main meat of the story, and that is the fact that she apparently has nothing. She is not special, she doesn't have any magic, and that is one of the big reasons why she's shunned so much. But we have to assume some magic was in the works for her to return back to life, so the question is, what happened? We know her brother was dead, her father wasn't around, we know her love of her life was gone, so how did she get resurrected? Was her own magic appearing, and that's how she got, you know, returned back to life? That's the question. Regardless, though, I do like this series so far. It has quite a few chapters. I mean, look, yeah, I'll show you. So, if you go to the first page, there's 86 chapters already of this series, and I'm not even nowhere near catching up yet, but I'm definitely going to be catching up, because this is honestly incredible. And also, another big detail I do want to talk about is you actually see the characters age. Like, actively you see them getting older, and so it starts off with her being young, and then you see her getting older throughout the series. So I like that. I love little stories that, you know, have characters aging with the chapters instead of always being stagnant and staying the same age throughout, like, hundreds upon hundreds of chapters. I'm glad to see aging. It just adds a little bit of a layer of immersion, and you to be able to dive into the story and enjoy it more. That's my 2 cents on the matter. Now, with all that being said, I do wonder where the story will develop. Since I'm not caught up, I am curious if these darker urges she has will bubble to the surface, and she will do something that is absolutely despicable. The story is playing with those themes very early on, and I am legitimately curious to see if she will resort to doing some tyrannical things because she is forced to. Her hand is forced. But, the big thing I do wonder, though, is like, I wonder if anyone within this world will find out about her previous life. That is a big thing I'm curious about, because obviously her knowing everything, knowing about interactions and who got together, who died, etc., I'm curious if she will talk to her brother, her father, anyone about, like, the previous life, or will she always keep it to herself? That is a curious question. Speaking of which, I want to talk about her father for a second. So, one of the big driving points of her character and why she acts like she does is that her father is very despicable. He is an awful, awful father. Like, he doesn't spend time with her, he doesn't really talk with her, he literally, he had her as a child, and he never saw her ever after his wife died, and, you know, the mother that gave birth to her died. He never saw her for years. And it's like, in chapter 1, it was the first time he ever saw his daughter, and she's like, I would say 10? 11? Somewhere on in there, which is wild. Imagine having a daughter for like a decade and never seeing them once. That's crazy. Like, that is actually just bad parenting 101 right there. But, yeah, I am curious to see what drove the father to be like that. Was it because of the mother's death? I would assume that's the reason, but there could be other reasons. Maybe he's keeping his distance because he knows something about her, and, like, he wants to make sure she goes down the proper path and isn't, let's say, mean or evil or whatever, but obviously that happened eventually. I'm curious. But anyways, I'll leave it at that. I wanted to recommend this series before, 2024 ended. It was something I was reading over the holidays, and I was like, this is pretty good. So if you are interested and you want to read this series for yourself, there is a link in the description. Click on it, read it for yourself. It's really good, completely free, so you don't have to worry about that, and no ads as well. That's another bonus. But, I love you guys. Be safe, stay healthy. Chibi out.